our English learning podcast again. My name is Jaden. I was born in the back streets of a forgotten town where most kids give up before they grow up. We didn't have much. Our roof leaked when it rained, and dinner was sometimes just rice and salt. My mother, the strongest woman I know, worked 2 jobs and still found a way to smile at me every morning. My father passed away when I was 7. People said it was an accident at the construction site. But deep down, I knew it was poverty that killed him. School was never easy. I didn't have a phone or even clean shoes. I'd sit in the back, not because I was shy, but because I didn't want anyone to notice how my uniform had holes in it. But even when I was hungry, even when we couldn't afford candles during blackouts, I held on to one thing: my dreams. At night, while others slept, I'd sit by the window, borrowing the neighbor's light, sketching ideas for things I didn't even know how to build yet: apps, machines, solutions. One day, the school announced a tech challenge. Build something that solves a local problem. I had no tools, no computer, but I had my brain. I walked 2 kilometers to an internet cafe, paid with the last few coins my mother gave me. I stayed until closing, learning how to build a simple app that could help hawkers manage their money. I called it Easy Count. The judges were shocked. I didn't win the prize, but I won something more powerful: attention. One teacher believed in me. He spoke to someone at a local tech workshop, and just like that, the door I thought would never open did. That was the beginning. The poor boy from nowhere had just taken his first step towards somewhere. They say every journey starts with a single step, but no one tells you how heavy that first step can feel. After the school project, I was invited to a small tech workshop across town. It wasn't fancy, just a room with 6 old computers and a few broken chairs. But to me, it was like walking into the future. I was 16, the youngest in the room. Most of the others were college students, some already working on startups. I didn't even know what startup really meant back then. But I listened, I watched, I absorbed everything like a sponge. I spent hours there after school. Sometimes I skipped meals just to stay longer. My mom would wait up, asking if I had eaten. I'd lie and say yes. But the truth is, I was feeding my mind instead of my stomach. One day, during a late night at the workshop, I overheard a conversation about a local business struggling to track orders. It clicked. I went home, sat down with my notebook, and sketched out an idea for a mobile app that could help street vendors manage sales, inventory, and even track customer debts. I called it Palm Pay because everything could be done from the palm of your hand. I had no developer tools, no real smartphone, no laptop. But I'd borrowed time on one of those dusty old PCs and determination that couldn't be borrowed, only built. Thus, I launched the beta version quietly, shared it with 3 vendors near my neighborhood. I told them, "It's free, just try it. Let me know what works and what doesn't." They didn't understand it at first, but 1 week later, one of them said, "Kid, I don't know what magic you did, but I finally know where my money's going." That moment, that was the spark. The first real confirmation that maybe, just maybe, I was on the right path. I wasn't chasing money. I was solving problems, and deep down I knew the money would come after. I was still poor, still wearing secondhand shoes, still skipping meals. But I had something now. I had momentum. You don't become something great without losing something first. That's what I learned during those early months when everything started moving. Nothing in my life had really changed. I was still broke, still hungry, still walking home under flickering streetlights, dreaming of code and cash I didn't yet have. But Palm Pay was working. The 3 vendors who tested it, they told their friends. Suddenly 5 more wanted in, then 10, then 20. I spent all my free time fixing bugs, answering questions, teaching people how to use it all for free. Everyone thought I was crazy. Even my mother sat me down one night, her eyes tired from a double shift. She said, Jaden, this is good, but how long can you keep giving without getting something back? I didn't answer right away, because I didn't know. I only knew one thing. I wasn't doing this for money. I was doing this because it felt like the only thing I was meant to do. One morning, I skipped school to attend a local startup fair. I had no booth, no business cards, just a hand-drawn flyer and screenshots of my app printed at the local copy shop. I stood outside the event center, handing them to people as they walked in. Most ignored me. A few laughed. But one man stopped. He asked me, "Did you build this yourself?" I said yes. I didn't tell him the truth that I used free YouTube tutorials, a cracked laptop, and hours of stolen Wi-Fi. He looked at me and said, "You got fired, kid. Here's my card. Call me next week." I looked at the card. Noor Malik Angel Investor. I didn't even know what an angel investor was, but the word angel felt like the right one. Then, I didn't sleep for 2 nights. I stayed up rewriting the code, fixing every glitch, preparing to show him my best. That week, I skipped more school. My grades dropped. Teachers warned me. But I kept going, because I knew something they didn't. I wasn't chasing a grade. I was building a future. And I was willing to sacrifice whatever it took to get there. I stared at that business card for hours. Noor Malik Angel Investor. The name alone felt powerful, like it came from another world. And maybe it did, because up until that moment, I never knew anyone with money who actually wanted to listen. I called the number 3 times before I had the courage to actually speak. "Come see me Tuesday," he said. Just like that. No questions, no small talk. I borrowed a clean shirt from my neighbor. Wore my only decent shoes. They still had holes in them, but I filled them with tissue so they'd look okay. The building was glass, tall, and cold. The kind of place I'd only seen in magazines. The kind of place that usually had guards ready to turn kids like me away. But I walked in, heart pounding, palms sweating, head high. Mr. Malik was sitting in a sleek black chair, calm, confident. He said, "Show me what you've got." I opened my beat-up laptop. The screen flickered once before lighting up. I showed him how PalmPay worked. I showed him the vendor feedback, the list of users, the bugs I was fixing. I even showed him a roadmap hand-drawn. He leaned back and smiled. "You built all this? With nothing?" I nodded. He said nothing for a while, just tapped his fingers on the table. Then he said, "I'm going to give you your first seed." I didn't understand what he meant. He pulled out a paper, a contract. It was simple. He'd give me $5,000. In exchange, he'd own a small share of PalmPay, but I'd still be in control. I wanted to cry, not because of the money, but because someone believed in me. He said, "Don't waste this. Build. Prove them wrong." That night, I went home and showed my mom. She didn't say much. She just hugged me, and I felt her hand tremble. That $5,000, I didn't spend it on new clothes. I didn't move out. I bought a secondhand laptop, paid for real internet, and hired my first helper, a quiet genius named Tariq from my old workshop. And us. We built day and night. As said, the app got smoother, cleaner, faster. Within 3 months, we passed 1,000 users. I was still poor, still invisible to the world. But I had something more valuable than money now. I had proof. The first door had opened, and I was ready to kick down the next one. Success. It doesn't come with applause. When I reached 1,000 users, I thought people would notice. I thought friends would message me. Teachers would say, "I'm proud of you." Or maybe my name would be in some blog or paper. But nothing. I was still that broke kid with the weird app idea. I'd walk the streets, same old sandals, same dusty bag, but now something had changed inside me. I didn't need their applause anymore. Because I had progress. Yeah. With Tariq by my side, we started building new features. We added debt tracking, customer insights, voice notes for older vendors who couldn't read. The app was becoming more than an app. It was becoming a lifeline. Then came our first real challenge. A glitch small at first, then bigger. Users started losing data, panic calls, messages. Where are my sales? I lost my record from last week. I didn't sleep for 2 days. Neither did Tariq. We fixed it, rolled out an update, sent an apology video to every user. And you know what? They stayed. Because they saw we cared. I started learning the hardest lesson in business. People don't trust your product. They trust your consistency. I began sending weekly check-ins, asking vendors what they needed. Some wanted QR code payments, others needed customer receipts. So we built that. Every day, I became a better listener, a better builder, a better leader. Still no fame, no headlines, no interviews. But I didn't need any of that. Because I wasn't chasing noise. I was chasing impact. My mom still packed food at the factory. My room still had a fan that made more noise than air. But on my wall, I printed out a paper with 3 words. Keep showing up. That became my mantra. Because I knew, if I kept showing up one day, the world would have to notice. You never forget your first yes. I mean the kind that isn't just support or encouragement. I mean the kind where someone believes with money. We had been running Palm Pay for 7 months. Users were growing, bugs were down, feedback was steady. But we needed fuel, more engineers, a back-end expert, a proper designer. I started pitching. I sent emails, made calls, knocked on office doors. Most said nothing. Some replied, "Nice idea, too early." One guy laughed and said, "It's cute that you think you're a CEO." That one stuck with me, not because it hurt, but because it revealed the truth. People don't invest in ideas. They invest in belief. So I changed my pitch. I stopped trying to sound smart. I started showing what we had done. Real users, real stories, real pain we were solving. I stood in front of a small panel at a local startup event, no slides, no suit. Just me and a vision. We're not trying to build the next unicorn, I said. We're trying to build the first ladder out of the street. After the event, a woman in a red blazer walked up to me. She handed me a card. Fatima Adil, early stage VC. "Let's talk," she said. 1 week later, I sat in her office. She listened, asked sharp questions, paused a long time, then said, "I'll invest $25,000. I didn't smile, I didn't jump. I just nodded and quietly said, "Thank you." But inside, I was breaking into pieces. Not because of the money, because I knew what it meant. The world just whispered back, yes. That night, I walked home under the city lights. I didn't have a car. I didn't even have dinner. But I had a company. I had a mission. And now, I had my first investor. Everything was about to change. Getting money is the easy part. What you do with it, that's the real test. After Fatima's investment, I had $25,000 in my company account. To someone like me, that felt like $25 million. I stared at the number in the banking app for hours. None. But then came the questions. Where do I spend it first? Do I hire, rent an office? Or do I just keep grinding in my room with a fan that barely works? I chose the grind. I used part of the money to bring in 2 freelancers, one for UI, one for back-end optimization. No office, no chairs, just Slack, Zoom, and way too much coffee. But something changed in me. I wasn't just a builder anymore. I was leading. Every decision started to matter. Every delay cost something. Every win felt heavier because I wasn't just representing myself anymore. I was carrying Tariq. I was carrying the trust of 6,000 users. I was carrying Fatima's faith. I was wearing the crown. And it wasn't made of gold. It was made of pressure. I built a habit. Every night before I slept, I'd write down 2 things. 1, what I did wrong today. 2, what I'll do better tomorrow. That became my ritual. Growth didn't come in big jumps. It came in tiny, silent shifts. 1 feature improved. 1 crash avoided. 1 angry user turned loyal. But I was still working out of a small room on a second-hand laptop, eating instant noodles. And every time someone called me CEO, I flinched a little. Because I still felt like that poor boy in the back of the class. But I also knew you don't have to feel like a king to act like one. You just have to lead anyway. Even if nobody claps. Even if nobody understands. Even if the only one who believes in you is you. Success doesn't come with a warning. But burnout does. I didn't see it coming. I was working 16 hours a day. Emails, fixes, calls, pitches. I told myself it was the grind. But slowly, I stopped sleeping. I stopped laughing. I stopped dreaming. I'd wake up feeling like I never slept. Eat with my laptop open. Talk to people, but not with them. My mom noticed. Your eyes, she said. They don't look alive anymore. I brushed it off. I'm just busy, Ma. But one night, everything caught up. I was coding a new analytics dashboard. The room was dark. Just me, the screen, and the hum of the old fan. Then the lights went out. Literally. Power cut. My unsaved work? Gone. But I didn't move. I just sat there in the dark, my hands shaking. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was empty. That scared me more than failure ever did. For the first time, I asked myself, what if I lose myself while chasing this dream? And right there, in the silence, something clicked. Success that costs your soul is just a fancy form of failure. Then I needed to find balance. So the next morning I walked. No phone, no laptop, just walked. I watched people open up their market stalls. I smelled fresh bread. I saw kids racing plastic bottles down the street like race cars. I remembered why I started. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about being known. It was about freedom. For me, for my family, for people like us. And freedom isn't built in one night. It's built by showing up again even after the lights go out. So I went home. I reopened my laptop. And I started again. I always thought the hardest part would be building something that works. I was wrong. The hardest part is when other people try to steal it. 3 months after our app gained traction, I noticed something strange. New users dropped. Reviews dipped. Even loyal ones were uninstalling. I reached out to one of them, a barber who'd been using Palm Pay every week. He said, "Your app. I thought it shut down. I'm using PayPalm now." PayPalm. I searched it. Same colors, same layout, almost the same name. But it wasn't us. It was a cheap copy. Someone had cloned our product, rebranded it, and pushed ads everywhere. I was angry. I was hurt. I wanted to scream. But instead, I took a deep breath and reminded myself, if they're copying you, you're doing something right. I called the team. They're not the enemy, I said. They're just noise. We're the signal. We didn't fight back with tweets. We fought back with product. We improved everything. Faster load time, cleaner design, easier payments. We added a support bot that actually solved things in seconds. While the imitators were shouting, we were shipping. 1 week later, our ratings bounced back. Users started returning. And they told others. Palm Pay is the real one. That was when I learned something big. You don't win by being louder. You win by being better. And no one can fake soul. They can steal the look, but not the heart. I used to think making it meant money. Fancy suits, clean sneakers, black cars. But the truth, making it means looking in the mirror and finally respecting who you see. It's been 2 years since that first login screen. The one I coded while my hands were freezing in a tiny room. Now, Palm Pay is live in 4 countries. We crossed 2 million users last week. I gave my mom her first vacation. Bought my younger brother a laptop. And my old principal, he invited me to speak at the school that once said I'd probably drop out. I smiled. I said yes, but I didn't come in flashy. No watch, no driver. Just me. Because that poor boy from the village, he's still here. He's the reason I never gave up. He's the fire behind my ambition. I walked into that classroom, looked those kids in the eyes, and said, you don't need to be rich to start. You need hunger, discipline, vision. I told them, people will laugh. Let them. Your story is being written in silence. And one day, those laughs will sound like applause. After the talk, a small boy tugged my sleeve. He had big eyes, calloused hands. Mister, he asked, do you think someone like me can become like you? I knelt down. I looked him in the eye. And I told him, no, I don't want you to become like me. I want you to become even greater. Because this journey was never just mine. It's for all of us who were overlooked. The forgotten kids. The quiet ones. The ones who were never picked first, but who decided to build anyway. My name is Jaden. I was born with nothing. But I had a dream that didn't fit inside my circumstances. I'm not just a billionaire. I'm living proof that you can be poor in your pockets and still rich in your purpose. This is not the end. It's just the end of chapter 1.